Hi, hello, I'm Yogappriya, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics. So today we are discuss about semiconducting materials. What is mean by semiconducting materials? Semiconducting materials are two types: intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. Semiconducting materials are a class of materials with electrical conductivity between that of conductors and insulators. Their conductivity can be manipulated by factors such as temperature, impurities, and applied voltage. Semiconductors materials are crucial components in electronic devices and integrated circuits (ICs). Here are some compound semiconducting materials. Example, silicon material is the one of the example. Silicon is the most widely used semiconducting material in electronic devices. It is abundant, relatively easy to process, and has good electrical properties. Silicon-based semiconducting from the basics of most modern electronics components and diodes, transistors, and integrated circuits. And then intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor is the best example of silicon germanium. These are the example of intrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconducting material with no intention impurity added to their crystal structure. These materials have a balanced number of positives and negative charge carriers, primarily generated through thermal excitations. The most commonly used intrinsic semiconductors are pure silicon and pure germanium, although the materials like diamond can also exhibit intrinsic semiconductor properties. And then intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductor material with no internal impurities added, including pure silicon, pure germanium, and pure diamonds. It's an example, a pictures of intrinsic semiconductor. Uh, Example is silicon. I choose the example of silicon material. And then extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductors, also known as doped semiconductor, or semiconducting material that have been intensely modified by adding impurity to their crystal structure. Doping alters the electrical properties of the semiconductor, allowing for control over its conductivity and facilitating the creation of electronic devices such as transistor diodes and integrated circuits. Intrinsic semiconductor can be classified into two main types based on the N-type semiconductor, P-type semiconductor. Uh, then intrinsic semiconductors have intentional impurities added to their crystal structure through a process is called a doping. And then doping introduced either donor atoms, it's an n-type doping atoms, or acceptor atoms. Acceptor atoms is a p-type doping material into a semiconductor lattice, alternating its electrical properties. Intrinsic semiconductor, these are all two types of semiconductor is including in the extrinsic semiconductor. The first one, N-type semiconducting material, P-type semiconducting material. The N-type semiconducting material is a negative semiconductor, majority electrons, minority electrons. N-type semiconductor in the majority of electrons and minority of holes. And then p-type semiconductor, p-type semiconductor majority of holes and minority of electrons. Intrinsic semiconductor, I choose the example of silicon material. The free electrons and holes inside the silicon materials. Then extrinsic semiconductor. N-type, P-type examples. N-type donor impurity contributed free electrons, and then P-type semiconductor acceptor impurity created holes. Thank you.